Hello and welcome to the Hot Dog and Handshake Pro Wrestling Show. I am your host, Jayden Ginsweider. Joining me is my co-host, former DDT Ironman Heavy Metalweight Champion, and Hot Dog and Handshake's resident Juggalo expert, Shane Price.
Hey, now wait a minute. Just wait a minute. You like one Twitter post about Two Tough Tony's fishing tournament, and all of a sudden, now I know the entire beef between Twisted and ICP.
Yeah. And he'll be breaking that down on a special new episode of the pod that'll just be Shane starting next week.
Sure, why not?
The Hot Dog and Handshake presents Juggalo Drama. Actually, no, we'll get on to our regular scheduled programming here. Collar and elbow question this week. What has been the best of the year so far? So I have 6 categories here. We will talk about what has been the best in wrestling so far.
Do you want to explain how he sold some TEW?
Well, I mean, I think the best of the year first half concept has been done many times, but it is a TEW kind of inspired idea. First, what has been match of the year so far for you, Shane?
So I went on Dropkick to get my answer, something like a standard point.
Yeah, you're much better about updating your Dropkick than I am.
I try to be. Anyways, for me, it was a match that actually landed in my top 3 here at matches. It is Tom Nakano versus Sai Kamatami, the career versus career match from All-Star Grand Queendom 2025.
Okay. For me, I'm also going a women's route. Toni Storm, Mariah May, the Hollywood ending at Revolution, absolutely perfect. I think of the matches, of the big matches this year, it has made me feel the most, and it really wasn't that long of a match. Like, it really just was a very...
See, that's kind of the same boat that I was in the match that made me feel the most. I went with that. I guess by a pure technical point, I would probably say Hangman versus Ospreay.
Yeah,
but
probably.
I didn't really feel much. I was like, this is high-level wrestling.
I didn't feel much other than, like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. What is show of the year so far for 2025?
So again, through my Dropkick, there was a couple of choices. I'm going to give some honorable mentions, obviously. I'm going to go with the TCWKC show, which I kind of ruled out because we were there.
Mm-hmm.
Double or Nothing 2025 was also a big one.
Yep, Double or Nothing was awesome.
But I went with All-Star Grand Queen 2025.
Keeping it in Japan, I went with NJPW Wrestle Dynasty. I thought that was the best show by far. It's one of, like, by stars per match, my highest rated shows of all time.
Let me pull up.
I believe. Let me look at. Yeah, look at mine too here. Yeah, by stars per match, it's my 4th highest of all time. 2 of those are kind of have an asterisk on them because they were episodes of the Cruiserweight Classic that were just 2 matches each.
Yeah.
So, like, real shows, it's like TakeOver New York is number 1 still at a 4.45, and Wrestle Dynasty got a 4.28. So that's that absolutely incredible. I gave Kenny and Gabe Kidd match of the night for that show. Of course, that was a 5-star from me.
The worst match on also a Grand Queen for me got 3.
Let's see, for this show, if you don't count the pre-show for Wrestle Dynasty, that was same for mine, was also a 3.
And then
being Tanahashi Shibata.
It had 6 matches 4 or above.
6 matches 4 or above?
Yes.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches 4 or above for Wrestle Dynasty from me.
I think Wrestle Dynasty had more matches in general.
Yeah, Wrestle Dynasty had like 10 matches. But still, both great picks there. What has been the company of the year so far?
This is tough because AEW usually back on it. I think they've about to hit a big peak.
They've
with,
been very good so
All
far.
In. Stardom has lost a fuck ton of people this year, and they're still on top of their game. New Japan was in it at the beginning of the year.
I've been really enjoying New Japan.
They began at the beginning of the year, and then recently it's kind of fallen off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Noah was that big at the beginning of the year, but Team 2000 Next was kind of... WWE was never in it.
It's been crap all
never
year.
in it all year.
Never got started.
So it's really between AEW and Stardom. And I think just on a pure consistency and also factoring in that they've lost 5 of their biggest wrestlers right now. I'm out to say Stardom.
I went AEW, but New Japan was a close second for me. I've been really enjoying New Japan this year, but yeah, like I said, AEW's just been killing it. I think Revolution really kicked off something this year that has I don't know what changed in interior in AEW, but it's been very good. There have been there's a few notable complaints, but I think it's been very good. So
I think
AEW
the complaints are less loud than they were last year too.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, part of it might just be it looks better in comparison because the main comp point is WWE, and WWE has been crap this year.
That could be.
I hate to say it because, like, there's two wolves inside of me, right? Two Samoan werewolves inside of me, right? And I wanted to say American Wolves, but Davey Richard might be a crook, so I don't want to bring him up.
He's not a crook. He's something else.
So there's the part of me that has been growing more and more anti-WWE in recent years as I've grown more as I've not, how do I phrase this properly? As I've learned more and started to have more problems with the capitalist system of America, I have become more anti-WWE from a very political point of view.
Sorry, folks.
And so there's part of me that there's it's a very fundamentally evil company. But then there's the other part of me that remembers watching the Raw after the Shield debuted. You know what I mean? There's the part of me that grew up on this company and wants to love this company, but I have to admit when they are letting me down. And 2019 was a time that they were letting me down, and that led to a big AEW fandom for me. Right now feels very similar to then. So that, like, it's been a rough year for WWE. I want to make it clear that I want the product. I will continue to watch Raw. I want to see the product get better, no matter how many complaints I have with the grander company, with TKO, with WWE as an entity. The media I'm watching, I want to be good.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
and I will continue to watch. And just hope it gets better, but it hasn't been good.
More wrestling is always a good option, obviously. You know, we saw what happened in 2001 when both of the competitors that we closed up shop at almost in the exact same time, and the wrestling world just kind of fell apart.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just kind of where I am. So AEW, company there for me. Tag team of the year.
Ooh.
It's been a rough year for tag team
has.
wrestling. Like, I was thinking through the companies that I watch and follow, and I'm like, man, not a lot of stood out.
You know, there's always astronauts. They're the only. I feel like the only tag team in the world that will never ever go through like an issue period. And that's because they're in Japan and also are freelancers, so they're not tied down to a company, which is kind of unfair to the rest of the world tag teams.
Yes.
The Young Bucks they haven't been around long enough this year, I don't think.
Yeah. And in AEW, like, Shelton and Bobby have been on an interesting run story-wise, but I don't know if there's been a lot in ring that has been beloved.
Matches haven't
a lot of odd
matches yet.
Yeah, a lot of odd opponents for them so far. I'm really excited to see. We'll get to it in our All-In preview, but I am excited to see how their upcoming defense goes. So it is a rough place, and there's yeah. So I don't know. Where did you land with Tag Team of the Year?
Thought long and hard about it, and I thought longer and harder about it, and I said, "It's probably just be astronauts." As I said,
the astronauts.
The only team that hasn't ran anything. Maybe like an honorable mention to Alec Price and Jordan Oliver, as because they're not normally a tag team, but they injury reasons they brought them together.
This might be a surprising pick, but I went YDNP. I think they've been the most interesting tag team this year. I think the matches that I've seen of them have been very good. And it's just kind of a testament to New Japan's tag team scene has been a mess for years. They haven't had a real tag team scene for a while. AEW's tag team scene is very solid from a roster point of view, but is in a weird place storyline wise, and WWE just doesn't give a shit about tag teams.
Yes.
So like that's where I landed on YDMP.
And Stardom's tag team,
which is Jordan Oliver and
Yes.
Alec Price, as he mentioned.
Yes.
For those who don't know.
When Stardom's tag division too, like, 'cause they're my company of the year, but even they have some problems.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest tag team is Natsupoi and Soriano, and they're going after the main titles now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not even going. They lost the tag title opportunity, and now they're going to give it to the leader of the heel faction and her tag team partner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. It's like awesome. More of the exact same thing we see in New Japan and Noah and WWE at the Bloodline and AEW at the Death Riders. Hope you like interferences.
Mm-hmm. Women's Wrestler of the Year. This is a big one for Shane specifically.
Yeah, no, it is. Is this tough?
He consumes much more women's wrestling
This is
than I do.
extremely tough for me because there's a lot of good ones out there. If
Mhm.
just this year, even if you want to include like wrestlers who didn't make the whole year so
Mhm.
far, I mean, Michael Satomura had a hell of a run.
Mhm.
Tom Nakano had a hell of a run.
Mhm.
But to me, I'm gonna say between 4.
Okay.
We have Io Sky,
Okay.
we have Tony Storm,
Mm-hmm.
Sari, and Saya Kamatami.
Okay, so all Joshi and Joshi adjacent.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
As usual.
As usual.
But honorable mentions obviously gonna be Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
Bianca
I was going to
Belair.
ask you what the American women's wrestling scene as a whole, what have you thought this year? I mean, I know you've been having a great time with the Joshis this year, but what is American women's wrestling?
I think that it's been an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
One company doesn't care much, and they're putting on all women's show,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one, their entire women division orbits around 2 women,
Mm-hmm.
and that match is coming up in a couple days. What happens after that match?
Mm-hmm.
That being said, EW's women division roster is stacked. Great roster, but my concern is that after All In, it's a reboot. If Tony loses, then what happens to Tony? Is she gone for a little bit? That's a terrible thing to have Tony Storm be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Does Mercedes lose? What happens to Mercedes? Does she fall off a cliff after that? That's also terrible too.
Mm-hmm.
WWE Evolution should have been a lot better than looking like it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking great. But the roster's there. You got.
I think the Becky Lyra Bailey storyline is heating up. I think I've been much more interested in that the last couple
Naomi.
weeks.
Actually, I am very intrigued to go with Naomi here.
Mhm.
Her kind of becoming this unhinged maniac because I like it. I'm warming. I'm intrigued.
Dude, I am always intrigued by a wrestler just falling into insanity. It's just always an interesting storyline for me.
The Joker Sting, but Naomi.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by it. I think this could be.
I've pitched for so many wrestlers to just dude, if Mercedes loses and then falls into insanity, perfect.
I'd love
Because
that.
also that she can, from a mentality, she can meet Tony Storm where she's at for the rematch down the line. You know what I mean? If she falls into insanity.
I love that.
Because Tony Storm, while she's a great and entertaining character, the baseline of this character is a crazy person who thinks she is a Hollywood starlet from a bygone era. It is at her base is a crazy person. So I'm always for that.
So that's my opinion on the West Women's Wrestling. The rosters are stacked, but the booking is not the best.
Yeah, that's fair. So who's your pick? Final pick for Women's Wrestler of the Year, for the year so far?
I am gonna go with Sari, just because she's proving it in multiple promotions this year.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the year, it might be different.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's Sari.
I went Tony Storm. I think she's probably been
understandable.
as we discussed. I don't watch much Joshi wrestling at all. I'm trying to start getting a little more into it based off of some experiences we've had revolving Akira Hokuto recently that will be talked about on a later episode of this podcast. I am getting slowly more into it, but most of my year has been consumed by Western wrestling as always, and so I land on Tony Storm. I think she's been the best woman in that kind of part of the world so far this year.
Tony Storm is still the best character in wrestling right now.
Best character in wrestling. It's just incredible.
I am still concerned she may be taking time off after All In, which
you know what?
sucked.
Well deserved.
I mean, don't get me wrong. extremely well deserved.
Mhm.
But it worries me
Her
for Mina
and
Shirakawa and for Luther, especially
Yeah.
Luther. I love
Yeah.
Luther.
Yeah, but Toni Storm deserves a weird vacation with her batshit insane husband. And
Her passionate dog husband.
yeah, yeah. So men's wrestler of the year so far,
Hangman Page.
Hangman Page. Yeah, it's got to be Hangman Page. The emotion, the in-ring ability he's just the top of every category right now.
There was literally no other option. The only thing that could really ruin it is booking,
Mm-hmm.
because he is on fire. And
Beyond on fire.
The only thing that could ruin it is booking. If he
right now he's literally that image of like the on fire horse.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes. Do you remember the lead in to WrestleMania 39 with that where
39 with Cody
yeah.
going to in Hollywood. Yes.
Feels like that we're at that point, and
if this ends with Hangman losing and someone throws a rubber chicken in the ring, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind, dude. That was a generational rant.
Would have been
podcast. The podcast after that WrestleMania 39. If you guys can find that's on the old KJ era.
Imagine
generational rant for
the
me.
podcast on Sunday in the car after All In if he loses.
If we had went, yeah, that would have been crazy. And then just one more question I thought of as we were going here. Is there anybody you see taking an upswing into awards conversation as the year goes on?
I do.
For one that came to my mind immediately, I think L Sky Team could be very great contenders for Tag Team of the Year by the time we get there. They still feel pretty new right now. They need to put together a body of work, but I could definitely see that. That's Mystico and Mascara Dorada from CMLL.
I could definitely see whoever Takeshita coming up. If he wins the G1 and gets
wins the Ring of Honor title potentially this weekend.
He can do those.
I think Io Sky could easily move her way farther in, like really take the women's. That's another one. It's booking.
Yeah.
With Io Sky, it's going to be all about booking.
If she retains an Evolution, and then if Antonio loses, that could be a total flip.
Just trying to think of other places
There's
where
always some. I think with Joshi, depending on who wins in Sapporo, in the women, the two top titles, I think SLK could be up there. I think Natsupoi could be up there. Men's Wrestler of the Year, if hopefully he doesn't. Not to speak it into existence at all, but if Hangman loses. Swerve could come up. We could see Gunther come back up. We could see Ospreay, Kenny Omega.
I mean, Goto's hurt, but if he comes back and has a good run towards the end of the year, Takeshita, as you mentioned,
all of that kind of depends.
And then, of course, in any category, of course, we never wish for this, but injuries are always possible.
True.
And that could really derail a blank of the year campaign. So it'll be interesting to see how the year plays out. Right.
My thing is that I think that Hangman Page has got it locked up. He wins on Saturday.
Yeah, if he wins the title and stays healthy, it's his. It's his award to lose.
He might actually to me, he locks it up on if he wins on Saturday. He could get hurt the next day.
He could get hurt the next Dynamite. CM Punk situation, jumps into the crowd,
been,
breaks his
it's
ankle.
It's been 7 months. It's been half the year. That's
been 6 months. We're barely into the 7th month.
6.5 months. It's been 6.5 months. He's the best wrestler of the year by far. Nobody's touched him. So
yeah, that's fair.
Same thing like Michael Satomura winning Women's of the Year.
All right, on to outside the ring news here. From AEW, not really news, just kind of a cool stat. Dynamite 300 match against Mina Shirakawa was the 1,000th of Mercedes Monet's career. So what a milestone for Mercedes Monet to hit, just in a year full of awards and milestones for her. And then the big news of the week, just something I'm noticing. This is about the Janel Grant thing. You notice that Janel Grant lawsuit news always drops on a Monday when it can be easily overshadowed by Raw that night.
It's kind of interesting.
So the way I go through to find news for this is I go through Fightful for the week, right? And every time the Janel Grant news is pretty early on because I do it on Monday nights. So I've been noticing, are they strategic? Are their lawyers strategically Wait, is there some sort of strategy here where news is coming out on Mondays to try to be covered up by Raw?
I would like to know that. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, but it's something I've noticed. But anyway, the news this time: court rules Janel Grant's bill of discovery against Dr. Carlin Kolker will be filed. Big movement. It felt like very incremental movement the last couple months, but this is pretty big.
So now,
we got discovery against the doctor.
If this goes to trial, all that evidence, if it is introduced to the court, will be public. It'll be public.
Yep.
And if this goes to jury trial,
and it doesn't, even if it doesn't go to trial, some of this evidence could still end up being public potentially. Yeah, it's not a guaranteed yes or no, but if it goes to trial, for sure, all of it will be public information. Huge.
Which means if Vince gets in discovery, they're going to be pushing even harder for arbitration.
Yeah. It's going to be even harder for him to launch that new wrestling company he's trying to put together. Other news, unfortunate injury news, Haruki Goto will not be in the G1. So I do have to switch my pick for who I'm going to follow in the G1. I'm going to go with the other option I was weighing. I'm going to go with Hiroshi Tanahashi. I'm accepting that it's probably an L, but I'm going to celebrate the ace on his way out, his last G1.
You're not going with the girl's replacement, Taichi?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Wow.
I'm
That's
good
just one of my 5 guys.
Yeah. I did think about maybe Callum Newman just as like a fun young guy run, but I'm going to go with Tanahashi. I'm going to follow him. That starts July 19th.
Just 3 guys now.
Yeah, we'll be able to preview the first week of that next week. Quick hits. So I got a few headlines here. I just want your quick reactions. First, Kevin Owens says it would be lovely to fight Mance Warner.
Oh, man. Okay. I think it'd be lovely, too.
Yeah. Jerry Lawler credits Road Dogg with coining the phrase puppies during the WWE Attitude Era.
That tracks. That tracks.
That was my reaction, too, when I read that headline. And finally, one that broke this morning. Timeless Tony Storm says, Mariah May has been compromised to a permanent end.
Acting like she won't be right back in AEW if she gets fired WWE is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because she will be. But that's incredible. That is incredible. You've been written out of this throuple you used to be in.
Yeah.
You've been John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
SEAL Team 6 come at your door.
Yeah. Yeah, big hit for fan fiction writers. All right, Dynamite. Open the show with Hangman Page, Jon Moxley. After a bit of back and forth, a bit of brawling, a bit of yelling, they have both agreed to a Texas death stipulation for All In. What are your thoughts on this?
A little concerned that this will just be a Bloodline Rules style match, which I'm getting kind of sick and tired of.
Here are my.
That being said, before I go on, if Jon Moxley takes another fuck-ass bump...
Oh, Jon Moxley will take a fuck-ass bump. It's the biggest show of the year.
Yeah, no, he will.
Stipulation or not, Jon Moxley was going to take a fuck-ass bump.
If he does another one of them, bumps on the Janice or the nail board, and
yeah,
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah. So here are my thoughts. One, I like the way this ups the stakes because it tells us Texas death in AEW, that is a feud ender. It tells us All In is not going to be the start of some long trilogy feud with these guys. This is it. This is the match. This isn't traditional AEW booking where it may take 6 months to get to the big stipulation blow-off. It also, I think, is a good way to program in the Death Riders interference. Because we knew the Death Riders were going to be involved in some way. That's what this whole storyline's been, right? And we know that hopefully this is one last time that'll happen. So why not allow it to happen within the rules of the match? I think that's probably the best way to address that and the best way to set that up. I don't know what your thoughts are. If you're just against it as a whole, or...
I'm not against it as a whole. I like the idea of Texas death is fine. It's just the Death Riders have every single time they do interferences.
Yeah, I just think this, like I said, I think it's just a good way to involve that.
pure one-on, even if they take it out, if this is a pure one-on-one Texas death match, which I could see it happening because you're still down it to go, I could see them being banned from ringside. This would be the best way to end that feud.
Just before we talk about Ospreay's promo, the Bucks and Takeshita versus Bandito and Paragon was an awesome match.
Of course,
Incredible
it was.
match. Ospreay it does cut a promo after the match on the Young Bucks though, and he says that if he and Swerve lose it all in, neither of them will challenge for the world title for 1 year. Now, conveniently, 1 year from now, the upcoming big show will be another All In Wembley.
Yeah, I just think it's too dumb. I think banning your top stars from the world title for a year is not the way to go.
But
I know realistically
think
it
about
kind
a
of makes
world
sense.
where Hangman Page is world champion and Swerve cannot challenge him. And Swerve has to live with the fact that because he agreed to this stipulation, the Bucks made sure he agreed. He cannot, and because not just because he agreed to the stipulation, but then he went out and lost the match. He cannot challenge Hangman Page for the world title. He cannot get his baby back, and he cannot challenge his biggest rival.
Yeah, but on the other side, the Bucks lose.
They're no longer EVPs.
Which has been my number one complaint about AEW for God knows how long.
God, it'd be so funny if they lose and they're just immediately back to exactly the characters they were when AEW started. Like just the super kick party, the streamers, like the little.
That would be
legitimately
legitimately the best thing they've done in years. If they did that. So I really hope they lose.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting either way now. And then what'd you think of Okada and Ibushi, the main event of the 300th episode of Dynamite?
It's
Kazuchika
not as
Okada versus Kota
good
Ibushi.
as their old stuff, but it was pretty good.
And that was pretty great. And then the Golden Lovers reunion. No Paul White, but just the Golden Lovers. No Paulden Lovers.
You gotta do something with Paulden Lovers at some point,
Something with
right?
the Paulden Lovers,
Right,
dude.
they're gonna have to.
It's really funny because unlike the John Moxley pregnancy meme, this one could actually happen on TV. Conceivably, Paul White could team up with the Golden Lovers at some point on AEW TV. So that's really funny. And then all I got from Collision here, what do you think of the new stable, Scorpio Skies, I don't know, the Scorpio Gym or whatever the hell they're calling it, with Christopher Daniels, Top Flight, and Layla Gray?
Can I be real?
What?
I don't really care.
Okay.
This is not a thing. It's not really. I never was big in Scorpio Sky, so this just being like a 2019 like nostalgia act, I guess. Cool. I like Christopher Daniels. He's on TV more. I like that, but not really big on Top Flight. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not. You know what? Show me something. That's where I'm at right now. I like this. I'm leaving it open. There's potential here. What are you going to do for me? That's kind of where I'm at with it. It feels like very much like this will just kind of end up being a Ring of Honor stable, but we'll see. On WWE TV, what do you think of kind of the major Grande Americano developments from Raw last night? For one, Brutus Creed just straight up admitted that Chad Gable is Grande Americano. And then two, it's Ludwig Kaiser now is wrestling as Grande Americano because Gable's injured.
Dumbest storyline WWE since 2019, 2020. Since the down period.
What would save?
Very funny that MAGA Barbie's boyfriend is now Grande Americano.
Yes.
Now.
And what would save this is if this leads to a Ludwig Kaiser Gunther feud. Because
Could you
while
imagine
Gunther is
Gable
off
versus Ludwig though, before all that though.
that'd be great. But first off, while Gunther is off putting down Goldberg, regaining his world title, keeping the mat sacred, right? Ludwig Kaiser is running around as a fake luchador. Like
That's
what would
that's
Gunther
not keeping the ring sacred.
That's not
brother.
keeping the ring sacred at all. So
Does this lead to Timothy Thatcher's return?
That'd be awesome. But I'm just saying this could lead to Imperium Explodes. Like this could be Gunther versus Kaiser in like a real awesome feud.
That would be a really good feud. I would love it if they flex that WID status that Thatcher has. to bring him back into a little bit because if they do a ring conf reunion, I would lose my mind.
Yeah, they could also easily get. They could also probably easily rehire Giovanni Vinci.
Yeah, Johnny, get Axel.
And get Axel Tischer, yeah. Maybe bring somebody new into the fold, too. Who knows? But, yeah, so really funny that Chad Gable gets hurt, so Brutus Creed just admits that he's Grande Americano on TV. And then now it's Ludwig Kaiser, which also funny because he's like a foot taller than Chad Gable.
Yeah.
Like a full foot taller.
It's totally not Chad Gable at all, so that's funny.
All right, I guess on to predictions. We have a lot of predictions to do. So we're going to do this. There's several shows. Because there are only 3 matches announced for Saturday night's main event, I threw that in with Evolution. But we'll start here. Super Card of Honor. There are 5 matches, so the max confidence you can do is 5 points. First up here, Nick Wayne versus Titan for the Ring of Honor television title. Who you got and how many points?
Ooh, I'm gonna give a retain.
Okay.
I don't see a
So Nick
change.
Wayne.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Out of what?
5. 5 is your max.
2.
2. I went with Nick Wayne for 5. There's no way he loses to Titan. I love Titan. No way he loses to Titan. Lee Moriarty versus Blue Panther for the Ring of Honor Pure title.
Unfortunately, I think it's to be the same way. Another retain. I'm gonna give this one 4 though.
You're gonna go 4. I went 2 here. I'm still very confident. There's just other matches I'm more confident in. Sons of Texas in Arlington, I think, is where this show is at.
Somewhere like that.
Somewhere in the Dallas area, the greater Dallas area. They will be defending against the Infantry, Sean Dean and Carly Bravo. I went Sons of Texas for 3.
There's no way they lose. There's no way they lose. Give me Sons of Texas for 5.
Sons of Texas for 5. All right. Bandito versus Konosuke Takeshita for the Ring of Honor World Championship. We recently saw the Ring of Honor World Television Championship in the Best of the Super Juniors. Do we see the Ring of Honor World title in the G1?
I would say yeah. I'm gonna say Takeshita for whatever I have left.
I also went Takeshita. You want to go? You have 1 and 3 left.
I'll go 3.
3. I went with Takeshita for 4. Finally, we have Athena versus Thunder Rosa for the Ring of Honor Women's title. I went Athena for 1.
Athena 1.
Okay. So we're on the same one there. Next up, we have the big one, AEW All In Texas. We have 8 matches announced for the card so far. We're going to start off with the Men's Casino Gauntlet. So far, MJF, Mark Briscoe, and Mystico are confirmed. So, who do you got?
I think Mark Briscoe runs the table.
You gonna go Mark Briscoe?
Yeah, for 1.
Okay, for 1. I am going to go with a returning Jay White. That is my pick to win for 1 point. I do want to ask, though, and both of these will be for 1 point, for 1 bonus point, who will be a surprise entrant? Either somebody from a sister company of AEW that is a surprise, somebody returning from injury that's a surprise, somebody, a legend that has nothing to do with AEW so far that's a surprise. Who do you think will be in it?
I'm going to go with...
This is for a shot at the world title, so...
fucking Monty Brown.
Monty Brown? All right.
It would make me lose my mind. I would probably go to Rogers, Arkansas, and regret a lot of my actions. But
yeah. Let me think. I should have had an answer before I asked this. Who would be an interesting competitor for this? I'm trying to think if there's any like Texas people that I think would be fun surprises. They would really get a pop out of me. You know what I mean?
what?
I'm gonna go Dory Funk Jr. No, I'm just kidding.
If he shows up and wants a match, you're not gonna say no to him.
Yeah, you're not gonna say no to him. Let me go with surprise entrant. I'm going to go with James Storm. That's going to be my surprise
I like that. I
entrant
like
for
that.
one.
He's at Starcast, so you never know.
So you never know. Women's Casino Gauntlet. Only Chris Statlander confirmed so far.
I don't think she's going to win it. I think the time is right. I think Willow Nightingale wins it.
I also picked Willow Nightingale. How many points?
2.
I also put 2. All right, who is your surprise entrant?
I had a lot of debates on this because Sukuban was just in the States, so that opens up a lot of opportunity if Stardom, if Sarit.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go with that. I decided that the most realistic option would probably be somebody from like Tokyo Joshi or CMLL.
CMLL, yeah.
So I think
Could be.
Persephone's a great pick. Didn't pick her. I went with a more personal choice. I think that this is the time for Miyu Watanabe.
Miyu Watanabe. Okay, interesting pick. I'm going with a legend pick here. I'm going Gail Kim.
I like that.
I think Gail Kim will show up.
I like that.
Yeah.
I didn't pick Miyu Yamashita. I feel like she's already going to be in it. So not really big of a surprise.
Yeah. And the Missouri Athletic Commission would probably have a problem with that.
It's better in Texas.
Next up, as we mentioned earlier, Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks for the EVP title / the ability to challenge for the world title. I went so back and forth on this. Where are you leaning?
I think I'm going to go Swerve Spray.
You're gonna go Swerve Spray. You're gonna go Bruv House.
Yeah.
How many points?
Do for 5.
For 5. I went Young Bucks for 4. That's where I finally landed. So I'm really back and forth on that, though. I think anything like my 1, 2, 3, and 4 picks, I have no idea. Honestly, in my 5 pick also, I have no idea. I'm really only confident in like 3 matches on this card. Next up, we have the tag team title match: the Hurt Syndicates, Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley versus Jet Speed versus the Patriarchies, Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. Who you going? How many points?
I think Jet Speed for 6.
Jet Speed for 6. I just went with a retain for the Hurt Syndicate for 7. I really think they're going to win. But I saw a couple interesting stats here. Christian hasn't held a tag team title since 2002.
Damn.
And he hasn't been in a 3-way tag team match since 2001.
Damn.
Yeah.
Since TLC 3?
I think that might, or maybe there was one after that, but yeah. That's crazy. There's just a couple stats I saw. I don't know if those are necessarily true, but that's what I saw. Next up, we have Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship. I went Fletcher for 8.
Fletcher 8.
Yeah, that's fair. For the new unified AEW Unified Championship, unifying the international and continental titles, we have Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. 5 or 6?
6.
6. I went Omega for 5 points.
Omega for 5, yeah.
You already used 5.
Oh, 4.
Okay. You have 3 and 7 left. Next up, we have Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné for the AEW Women's title.
Tony Storm 3.
I went Moné for 3. So, very interested to see that. And then next up, we have Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, what is now a Texas death match for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I'm going Hangman for 6.
Hangman 8. There's 7.
Hangman for 7. All right. Next up, as I mentioned, I threw Saturday night's main event and Evolution together, so there are 10 total matches, 7 from Evolution, 3 from Saturday night. We'll start chronological order with Saturday night. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre.
Randy for 5.
I went Drew for 4 on that one. Seth Rollins versus L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Seth Rollins for 10.
Seth for 10. All right, yeah, I went with Freakin' for 8. Gunther versus Goldberg. Goldberg's last match for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Goldberg for 5. No. Gunther for 9.
Gunther for 9. I went Gunther 10. Battle Royal for a title shot at Clash in Paris. We have Nikki Bella, Ivy Nile, Nia Jax, and Stephanie Vaquer confirmed for the Battle Royal. Who do you got?
Vaquer for 3.
All right. I went with Chelsea Green for 1 point. And I think it'd be really funny if she uses her title shot not for a world title, but to get her U.S. title back.
I love that.
Next up, we have Naomi versus Jade Cargill in a no-holds-barred match.
Naomi for 3. It's too early to stop that feud.
All right, you just used 3.
Oh, 4. No, 5.
5?
Yeah,
You already used 5 also.
4?
4? Okay. That works. I went Naomi for 2.
Okay.
Then we have the Judgment Days, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair versus the Kabuki Warriors versus Sol Ruca and Zarya for the women's tag team titles. I went with Judgment Day to retain for 6 points.
Well, they give me the Kabuki Warriors. Say that much. Oh no, not the NXT team. My bad. I'm gonna go Kabuki Warriors. I think since damage control is done, they need something to do.
Huge shocker. Shane picks the Joshi team.
Yeah,
How many
whatever.
How many points? You got looks like 1, 2.
I'm gonna go 1.
6,
I'm
7,
gonna
8
go
left.
1 though.
You're gonna go 1? Okay. That makes
Even though
sense.
I want
It's a fun little flyer
Even though I
pick.
want Sol Ruca and Zarya to win the most, they're not gonna win.
JC Jane versus Jordan Grace for the NXT Women's Championship. Before we pick, make this make sense. Saturday at Great American Bash, there is a 5-way for the NXT Women's title involving Jordan Grace also. And then Sunday, she gets her own solo opportunity for the title?
Well, we know that JCJ is retaining on Saturday, clearly,
Unless
which begs the question. Jordan's gonna win this one, no matter what. I'm gonna say 5.
You're going to say Grace for 5?
Whoever have it as above 5.
Do you think Jordan Grace enters as women's champion? Because she could win the night before, and this is a built-in rematch for the title.
Sure. I'll say that, yeah.
I think JC Jane probably wins the 5-way in a nefarious way, and then Jordan Grace gets to come up
that too, yeah.
on Sunday.
There's no way Jordan Grace is going to get the title after Revolution. There's no way.
Okay, and it looks like you have 2, 6, and... Oh, you already used 5.
Lose 6.
Do 6? Okay. So you have 2, 7, and 8 left.
Okay.
Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
I think Bayley.
You're going Bayley? I went Becky for 5.
I'm going to go Bayley for 2.
2? Okay. So you have 7 and 8 left. Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus for the WWE Women's Championship. I went Tiffany for 9.
Tiffany 7.
Tiffany 7. 7, and that leaves 8 points for the main event. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the World Women's title. I went Io for 7.
I hate you, Triple H, for 8.
Okay, just going to write that in. Okay. Is it Rhea Ripley? Is that why you hate Triple H?
Yes.
I think Io's going to retain. I'm on the Io train.
I'll be happy to lose. Like,
She's the Jeff Hardy of this generation.
I'll be happy to lose.
All right. And then, last but not least, surprise, what is GCW doing in the Impact Zone? We're going to be predicting boss of all bosses.
Okay.
So 6 matches have been
All right.
announced. Masha Slamovich versus Elena Black for the Jersey Championship Wrestling World Title. You have 6 as your max.
No goddamn clue when they're gonna take the title off of Masha.
Mm-hmm.
I think when she gets signed by NXT for realsies or AEW for realsies. No, it's signed by NXT for realsies when Lynch will drop the belt. I'm against Masha for 4.
Just as like a kind of what you did with the Kabuki Warriors, just a fun flyer pick. I went with Elena to win for 1.
That would be fun because then you would get Brooke Havoc versus Elena Black and emo fight for the title.
Booyah. But I just threw 1 point on it because I'm not hugely confident in that.
Right.
Sam Stackhouse versus KJ Orso in an I Quit match, a stipulation that was set up in Kansas City.
Against Ooh, man. I'm gonna say that this goes. No, it doesn't go any further. It's Sam Stackhouse for 1.
Stackhouse for 1.
Yeah, because keep in mind that
KJ Orso's a punk bitch.
KJ got hurt too.
Who got hurt?
KJ.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, doing something so stupid against his boy. Yeah, AK-47. He did a acai moonsault from the ring to a trampoline, ladder on an AK, and he overshot it just a tiny bit.
Oh, okay.
Looks badass though.
I went Stackhouse for 3. Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express versus Mance Warner.
Mance for 6.
I also put Mance for 6. Matt Cardona versus Shotzi Blackheart.
Matt hasn't guys come up ever in GCW. I think this is the time he gets it. I think that later this week, something happens on Twitter where the rights to the indie god name come up for the Babs. I think Shotzi pulls it off. Shotzi 2.
Shotzi for 2?
Yep.
I went with Cardona for 2. I think they dragged this on just a little bit farther, and he really gets his comeuppance against Jimmy Lloyd down the line.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Maybe a triple threat with Jimmy and Shotzi. I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely the most interesting story in GCW right now.
I think Jimmy interferes here, and that's why Shotzi wins.
All right, YDNP versus Dante Leon and Ninja Mac for the GCW Tag Team titles.
A little bit of Noah action on that one team. God damn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go YDNP. It's too early.
YDNP. How many points? You have
5.
I would say you have 3 and 5 left. So 5?
Yep.
I also went YDMP 5. And then Effie versus Atticus Kogar for the GCW World title.
I'm gonna go Atticus Kogar. I think the time is right. Effie said that 6 month reign was good, great stuff. But I think this will lead into because they just fought. They're teasing I think they're gonna do a 3-way in Coney Island. And the other way to do that is if you lose here.
Okay, I'm going with Effie. I'm riding with Effie for 4. So, as a tiebreaker for the possibility that we go 2-2 on these 4 prediction shows we did, right? I want to have a definitive winner of the weekend. Tiebreaker will be the combined runtime of All In, Saturday Night's Main Event, Evolution, Supercard of Honor, Great American Bash, and Boss of All Bosses. So the shows we predicted plus Great American Bash, total runtime, that is 6 shows. What are you going to go with here? Because I have mine locked in. It's not changing based on your answer. So go ahead.
Let's go with yours first. I'm going to do some math.
Okay. I went with 18 hours and 45 minutes. Whoever, if it comes to tiebreaker, it's whoever's closest. No over rules, just whoever's dead closest.
18 minutes, 52 seconds. 18 hours. No. Yeah, 18 hours, 52 minutes, 23 seconds.
I'm just going to put 1852 because I'm not going to count up the seconds like that.
Okay.
Man, I don't want to do that work, but
okay.
All right, that works. Teo with the light tubes, take the door off its hinges. It's time for Shane's GCW corner. I mean, we were already pretty much in the GCW corner.
We did the predictions that I was going to ask you what to do here, which is fine by me. Well, last weekend, this July 4th weekend, obviously we had Backyard Wrestling. Also had the top play named after the Darren Waller song of the same name in Hartford. Unfortunately, the astronauts could not make it for some whatever reason. They never said why. It sucks because I was looking forward to that. But we'll start with Backyard Wrestling 7. Unfortunately, there was a injury in the tag team title match. It was a little bit, the Juggalos kind of showed up. Not for a title. YDMP versus the Backseat Boys. JP Grayson broke his ankle fully. Like, it shattered the entire bone.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we shit on Juggalos a lot. I like the Backseat Boys. I think they have a good future outside of Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So, I honestly hope he gets better soon. Charlie Tiger made his return after his very weird legal issues. I don't know if you've known them. He was arrested at a gas station naked holding a machete.
Who was this, sorry?
Charlie Tiger.
Never heard of him, but that's... that woke me up. What did you just say to me?
He may not have been naked, but I think he was naked.
Just repeat that for anyone who missed it the first time.
Naked with a machete, arrested. For
Where was this?
The Wawa in New Jersey.
Okay, yep. Oh, of course. Oh, it was New Jersey? Okay, never mind. It all makes sense. Never mind.
Pizza Cat Jr. could not face Pizza Cat Sr. Shotzi had some travel issues, could not make it. Mm-hmm. So Pizza Cat Jr. is put in a scramble match.
Okay.
Mosh Pit Mike versus the North Korean Assassin, who I have no goddamn clue who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a generic backyard wrestling match. AK-47 and KJ Orso fought in a KBW throwback with the trampoline spots in there. So KJ's spot was KJ who dislocated his elbow earlier on. That spot I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Did a jump from the trampoline to the ropes to the other part of the ropes, and then did a flip.
Mm-hmm.
Just some lucha shit. J.J. Allen set himself on fire.
Wow.
For realsies.
Wow.
Cocaine CPI was okay, was whatever. You know, you're not here for the matches. You're here for the just
the
bit of a guy setting himself on fire in a backyard. And the top play has legitimately maybe one of the best indie matches this year by far.
Mm.
With Alec Price, Marcus Mathers, and Jordan Oliver on one side, and then Megan Bain, Mia Yamasha, and Billy Starks on the other side. This match ruled. It fucked. Not the best match on the show. Well, actually it was, but the second best match on the show. Bear Bronson Beastman. Bear Bronson is the best deathmatch guy in the 80s right now. So that's all I got. No real in anything new for Boss of All Bosses. Nothing new for after that right now. Oh, yeah, Emo Fight's coming up. Elena Black, Brooke Havoc, first time ever. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. Just some breaking news I saw from as we're recording this, the All In Texas media call is going on with Tony Khan. Just something I saw from this. Tony Khan gives clarification on Omega Okada winner-take-all match. The international and continental titles are not retiring. The lineage of those titles would be intact after All In. Winner could even carry all 3 belts, including the Unified Championship. Continental Classic will be back in November again for the Continental title.
Hey, guess who's winning that title then? If they're carrying all 3 belts.
Just a flashback with like the TNA title.
Eddie Kingston, welcome back.
Oh, I was thinking of Kenny's
Kenny
belt collector.
he'll do that, yeah, but then also Eddie Kingston winning just 3 belts.
Yep.
Actually, there is a new match for Boss of All Bosses.
Okay, we won't officially predict it, but
I'll say it. Matt Tremont, Johnny Murdoch for the Ultraviolet title.
Trevant, I think he'll win.
Yeah, I think Tremont's going to get to it on it.
That'll fuck, but it'll be an awesome match, but he'll win. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Favorite things of the week. This, of course, is where I hand out the gold, silver, and bronze hot dog. Shane hands out the gold, silver, and bronze handshake. Shane, as always, let's start with the bronze handshake.
Monet versus Shirakawa.
Wait. Oh, yeah. I was like, was that this week? For some reason, I already forgot that was this week.
Understandable. It's about a week ago anyways.
Yeah. I went with Okada Ibushi, the other
very fair
Japanese wrestlers from Wednesday
the
night.
vague cyber fight domain.
Silver handshake. What do you got?
Okada
Ibushi.
versus Ibushi. Yeah.
Here I went with Hangman's promo opening the night and getting the Texas Death stipulation. And then what's the gold handshake this week?
GCW trios match.
GCW.
The YDMP plus Marcus Mathers versus the women.
Okay. Mine is also a trios match. It's the Bucks and Takeshita against Paragon and Bandito. So that'll be mine. Upcoming matches this week. This is the lightning round where Shane will give me his excitement level out of 10 for the matches we're going to see on regular TV this week. On Dynamite, we have Samoa Joe versus Wheeler Yuta.
4.
Okay. Megan Bain versus Tekla versus Tay Mello versus Queen Aminata for the number 2 spot in the Casino Gauntlet.
This would have been.
Remember, the Casino Gauntlet can't end at any point, so being 1 and 2 actually is good.
Yeah.
The inverse of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Tay is in this match.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been 10 without her.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it an 8 though.
Okay. Hangman Page, Will Ospreay, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and the Young Bucks.
Can you believe people hate this stuff? Can you believe that?
Yeah, no, I
10.
can't. That's a 10. That is absolutely a 10. R-Truth versus Aleister Black on SmackDown.
5.
The Street Profits versus Dexter Lumis and Eric Rowan for the tag team titles. Why isn't this on Saturday night's main event? There's only 3 matches announced for okay, whatever.
3.
All right. And from Collision, Mystico versus the Beast Mortos.
10.
Tyler, your 10 of the week for me. What's your 10 of the week?
That one, probably that one.
About Mystico, Beast Mortos. All right. Match recommendation of the week. I went with the Texas Death stipulation, looked through the archives a little bit, and I found one that I quite enjoy. From Halloween Havoc 1993, we have Big Van Vader versus Cactus Jack.
Oh, never mind.
That is my match recommendation of the week.
I heard Havoc 93, like, oh, here we go again. And then he said who it was, like, no, never mind, that's probably really good.
It is pretty good. So that's my match recommendation of the week. Classic reviews. By the time this is up, our SummerSlam 2003 review should be up. That was my birthday pick.
That was meant to be up
a few days ago,
but
a few days earlier, but it's fine.
Clip Champ hates me.
Yep. And uploading later this week will be a special episode of the classic review series. Shane, do you want to kind of explain what this is?
We're doing something a little different. There will be other ones quite like this later on, but this is the first medley we're going to do. This is the All Japan Women's Medley. It is about, like, what? How do you say it? 8 matches?
I think it was like 8 matches, yeah.
8 or 9 matches from
the history
of All Japan Women's, mostly 90s, but it is interesting.
The 80s a little bit.
Yeah, the medley will be up on the Con channel as well.
Yep.
So you'll be able to watch that if you want to watch the actual thing. But that's coming up this Friday. It'll be up on Friday for sure.
Yeah, and the medley will definitely be up prior. Probably try to get that out Thursday night, if not like Friday morning.
The same day as this releases.
So yeah, it will be up when the review
for sure
releases. So that'll be available to check out. So yeah, that'll be a really interesting time. That was kind of what I was hinting at with my Akira Hokuto discovery.
Yes. If you've never seen it, you will discover it too.
Yeah. So that is it. As we talked about with all of our predictions, huge weekend in wrestling. All In Weekend has become on par with WrestleMania. Not on par yet, but it's.
I feel like
it's right up there.
I feel like it's the only thing that kind of separates All In Week of WrestleMania Week is that the indie scene doesn't come together. Yeah,
it's the collective. That's the
collective,
only thing.
And then
like they're just being one GCW show versus all the other stuff. And yeah,
well, it's also like they bring in like DDT, and
but what makes
the
up
other
for
ones
it is WWE counter programming.
Yes,
AEW.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's similar in that I might watch. It's not quite on the level because WrestleMania weekend I watched like 24 hours worth of wrestling.
I put in a fucking full-time job shift, a week shift of it. So
yeah, this one I'll watch probably roughly 13 to 15, 13 to 16. It depends on if I get to GCW Basketball, but at least like 13 hours, roughly.
Yeah, I was going to watch Basketball Bosses, and then maybe, I was good.
Are you want Supercard?
No, that's my birthday, brother.
Do Bandito and Takeshita alone.
That's my birthday. I'm watching
you can
GCW.
Watch it on demand you can watch it on demand afterwards. There's a whole weekend and a Monday before we record.
God's been fucking money that shit. Hell no. On Ring of Honor 25.
Dude, Bandito Takeshita sold it for me. I'm absolutely going to watch it.
I'll watch it. I hide my methods. Don't worry.
Okay. But anyway, that is, like I said, a huge weekend in wrestling. So, of course, like we said, if you want to listen to more of us, we have a bunch of classic reviews out there from WWE, WCW, ECW, New Japan, CZW, WXW, all over the wrestling world. So go ahead and check those out. And just remember to enjoy wrestling.